You know what it is, black and snurdy, black and snurdy, black and snurdy, black and snurdy.
You know who it is, black and snurdy, black and snurdy, black and snurdy, black and snurdy.
Odie, Maurice, Odie, Maurice.
Maurice, Odie, Maurice, Odie.
Black and snurdy, black and snurdy.
Black and snurdy, black and snurdy.
Hey, oh.
Yes, Mo?
Are you ready?
Let's go!
Black and snurdy, black and snurdy, black and snurdy, black and snurdy.
It's the Black and Snurdy Podcast with Odie and Maurice.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and everybody in between. This is another episode of the Black and Snurdy Podcast. Coming to you live on Instagram, and or at least it's Instagram for now. Who knows
Meta
how long until it gets renamed because some dumb billionaire thinks like, oh, actually, you know, like I'm gonna buy this brand and take the thing that the brand is known for and just like rename it and make it just infinitely worse. I, of course, am your host, Maurice, a.k.a. Kid Licorice.
And I'm Odie.
Yes, and of course, we are the aforementioned Snerds. We come here every week to bullshit! Talk to y'all about, like, whatever we decide. Like, we are the deciders. We are infinitely the deciders of what is interesting content when it comes to this fucking podcast. How are you doing? How's your week? How you doing?
You know, it's been of a teeter-totter.
It's been of a teeter-totter.
It's been a
Can you elaborate? How so? What is the teeter and what is the totter?
Is the teeter part good or is the totter part good?
I mean,
it's like you can just place it with that wherever, right?
Any good teeter-totter should be like identical on each side.
Yeah, but is it that when you're saying like you're teeter-tottering, I know it's that you're moving back and forth, but is like the up part, like is there, because you know ups and downs, we know it's like you're saying that. Mm-hmm. But teeter-tottering, is the teetering supposed to be the up and the tottering supposed to be the down?
I think they're interchangeable. I think either one could be teeter and either one could be. It's basically how you perceive, like to you, does teeter sound like an up or does totter sound like an up? I think it just depends on the individual.
Good point.
Yes. See, look at the interesting bullshit that we are coming up with.
I think that I've had some ups. I think that work went pretty. I was working on a project. The project went pretty smoothly.
Sure.
And I got to go to a free event and get free drinks.
Nice.
That was fun.
Nice.
And the totter was fucking things outside of my control, both at work and like at home, because I woke up to the announcement that there was a flea or some fleas on my cat, which will be that I'm gonna go in more at the end. But it's been a teeter-totter because I was having some good moments, I was having some bad moments, I was having some in-betweens. And it's you know, that's adulting, unfortunately. You know, sometimes you're just like, can I just get a day?
Yes.
Is it possible to just get one day without shenanigans?
Without the bullshit.
Yeah. And that's, you know, the thing about adulting that I've realized and why most adults are so, like, I feel like cynical and upset and, like, hate the world is because I think that they realize there's no stopping with adulthood. You know, like when you're a kid or you're a teenager, you could like take a break, hopefully, and take your mind off things. For the average, I would say the idea of a teen is that you're not having to take on the burdens and the ownership of like being an adult.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're an adult, there's no more adultier person to do these things. Just like you could ask people what they do or whatever, but you still gotta do them yourself.
Yeah.
You still gotta figure them out.
Yes.
And that's adulthood is a teeter-totter.
Yes, adulthood is a teeter-totter. I would say that would be the title of this episode, but I do not have my pad.
There's a pen right there.
I know.
And then there's a pad right here.
All right, there we go. All right.
Problem solving.
Which actually might. I'm running out of space. I'm gonna need new notebooks soon. All right. So thank you for telling us about your week.
How was your week?
Bullshit. Much like all weeks have been. Quite frankly, just I personally. I don't know. I seldom complain. That's not true. I love to complain. It's actually like a fetish at this point.
Yeah.
But I am just bewildered when it comes to how life has been kicking me directly into my scrotum. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't seem to be alleviating. And in some cases, things are constantly compounding and ultimately leading to worsening and potentially getting worse. So, all I can do is keep on trucking and keep, keep trying and keep doing what I can. But at this point, I am sick of fucking cliches and platitudes and shit about how things are getting, with time things get better. It's been almost a year, like the better part of a year, like a good part of this year has just sucked, and that's just what it is. But anyway, nobody wants to hear about this. What we're here to talk about is some news, some pop culture stuff. So let's just move right into the pop culture segment. Actually, no, we're not. We are gonna do questions with O&M. Q&A with O&M. So how about we whip out those questions and get to them.
You sound so joyful to be here tonight.
Yeah. Let's see. What lessons are most important to teach the next generation? I think privacy, learning about privacy.
I don't know if that's a lesson.
Yeah, it is a lesson. Like, be more private. The lesson is don't fucking share. You don't have to share everything. Like, you can be private about certain elements of your life, like, or at least to understand and respect the concept of privacy. Because as we get older, our society now voluntarily relinquishes a lot of privacy. Like when we download a new app and we say that we read the fucking user agreement, we
never
haven't.
do.
But we accept it, and now motherfuckers are tracking our phones and listening on our AirPods and our...
There's actually a new... I haven't looked really all the way into it yet, but there is a new update on the iPhone that allegedly it allows you to use your voice for Siri to be, or I don't know if it's all of Siri, but like certain things you could use your voice because it's like recording your phone calls or what, the data that it says it's recording.
Sure.
And I was trying to watch a video on it, but then it kept buffering or whatever, and I forgot. But you mentioning that to me about privacy, because people were talking about it, how they were freaked out about it, because that's something like, in one hand it does sound cool, but the way you gathered my voice, I don't really like that. And we already have weird deep fakes and all that. And I think about, when we were younger, if you saw a video of something or whatever happening, or a picture of something happening, you more than likely, like, that you were going to be paying attention to what it said, or thinking like, okay, this happened. But in a few years, these kids are not going to be able to do that.
Wait, what are you talking? What's the scenario? Like, when back in the day, when we saw a picture, we knew that we were going to pay attention to what?
Yes, you knew you were going to pay attention to it because it was real.
First off, Mike, and I maybe you need to use another example, because I'm having a little bit of trouble understanding the concept that you're presenting. Like when we were kids,
When we were younger, if
we
you
would
showed
pay attention
someone
to
a
pictures.
picture.
When you show someone a picture, sure.
You could show someone a picture,
Mm-hmm.
and they could believe that whatever that thing that you're showing them happened
Okay.
in that way because you're seeing a picture to it. So you'd pay attention to the picture, you would use it, it would be a part of the cultural zeitgeist. Now that is no longer as ringing as true because you have to have different types of media literacy to be able to distinguish between a deep fake, AI, or some other way of manipulating photos.
Is this the lesson that you want to teach to the next generation?
No, that would not be no. If I think that for the next generation, I would teach them that balance is important. That balance is important in everything that we're doing. I think our generation grew up in a very balanced situation where we had both television and we had books and we had computers and video games, but we also did things outside and we interacted with folks and we weren't just stuck in our phones all the time. And I think that is a lesson that our generation, like of being not allowing this technological world to constantly like be so immersed in that.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not necessary, and also it is harmful to the connections that we are having with people. So I think that being able to teach the younger generation why it's so important to be able to disconnect and take time away from technology and having to be so online. I think similar to what you were saying of like teaching them that privacy is like important. Like sometimes you need to be away from your phone and not tuned into what's happening or constantly like playing or reading something or messaging someone or whatever the case may be, because that is not healthy to always be so attached to technology. And there's so many other things that are like interesting and fun and enjoyable to do that that's a different experience when you're just doing it like, one-on-one. So I think like balance in general would be the lesson, but how it kind of taps into all the different facets of life.
Sure. What's your question?
What food can't you stop eating when it's in front of you?
Boy, oh boy. I want to say steak. But you know what? I'll switch it up. Because I'm gonna stick with steak. Quite frankly, like it's just fucking delicious meat.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I could look. I know that you used to be a vegan or vegetarian or which I forget. You were one of those things.
Mm-hmm.
That was like part of your 5 supper spot thing that you used to do.
Mm-hmm.
It was a core component of your identity because it was like, you were vegan, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Was it vegan or vegetarian? Vegan.
Vegan.
Okay, cool. I could never be vegan because the fucking cow just tastes so delicious. It just is. Like, and I have, granted, I've never tried. I've never given it an earnest shot of trying to be vegan or vegetarian or just strictly be plant-based. But just, if I had never eaten a steak, maybe my life would have been different. Who knows?
Well, I think
Who knows how different my life would have been if my mom didn't feed me that steak when I was a little baby. I'm assuming that's what happened. I have no idea to, verify that because my mom, God rest her soul, is in Baltimore. She's alive. Relax, chill. Come on, keep it moving. Like
The
We gotta work on a rapport.
being being vegan means that you aren't eating the animals. Doesn't mean you don't want to eat them,
Mm-hmm.
or that you're not enjoying them. It's just you're choosing not to. It's a choice
Mm-hmm.
that you're making out of a sacrifice for whatever reason you got that. You're doing the sacrifice. Either way.
Yes, continue.
The food that I can't stop eating when it's in front of me, I was thinking more so like in the terms of snacks.
Mm-hmm.
So my first thought was gummy bears.
Mm-hmm.
And then I thought like chips and dip,
Mm-hmm.
because I always love chips and dip.
Yes.
I love chips, and if there's a good dip, I'm gonna eat it. It doesn't matter. That used to be, or any like a
Those horrible gummy bears are like the hardest. They might as well just be rock candy.
they're meant to be savored.
Or maybe it's just because like we are in New York and every gummy that has ever existed in a bodega is just expired. Like
No.
that's just what it is.
Haribo gummy bears are chewier than average, even when you buy them in Germany.
You will break your teeth if you
But
eat
I
these
think it's
Haribo
just you're
gummies.
supposed to be savoring them. You're supposed to just let them kind of soften up in your mouth. You suck on them a little bit. They're softer.
I don't like-
and you chew them.
I don't like food that has instructions. Like with food, it's literally just like that's why I will never, even if at some point in my life I have the luxury of having wealth and money, I'll never try Ortolan because it's literally like, oh, you have to put a blanket over your fucking head to hide your sin from God to eat this baby bird or some shit. Like, no.
I don't want to have to cover. I want to know what the fuck I'm eating, and I want to see it. I want to see what the hype is about. And I don't even feel like it's going to taste good, and that's going to piss me off the most.
Yeah, like, I can't imagine they're seasoning these Ortolans.
They're probably making them with whatever basic-ass pre-colonial
I want to know
or whatever,
if, like,
post-colonial.
if it would be an insult to the chef if I brought my own thing of, like, Mrs. Dash or adobo or some shit.
No, you got to just have it in your, like, a spy pocket.
Yeah.
And just sprinkle it over.
Ooh, I thought that
You
would
know?
be quiet. Anyhow, yeah.
Okay. That was my question. So yours was steak.
Yes.
Mine's gummy bears.
All right.
Honorable mention would be chips.
Mm-hmm.
Any type of chip. So that's a chip and a dip, like a nacho, or a chip and a chip, like in a bag.
Doritos.
Mm-hmm.
Fritos. Frito-Lays.
I do like Fritos. I really love the chili cheese Fritos. You don't see them a lot up north. You usually only see them down south. I had them for the first time when I was in Louisiana doing the New York Times internship, and I was so surprised. I said, chili cheese on a Frito? Psh, delicious.
I still wanna watch that Hulu movie about the dude who made Flamin' Hot
Oh,
Takis
yeah.
or some shit.
No, they were Flamin' Hot Cheetos.
Yeah.
And I like Flamin' Hot Cheetos.
I hate Cheetos. I hate any sort of cheese puff bullshit.
Well, you know I love puff Cheetos.
I like it. It's like it's basically worse than air.
No,
like
it's flavored air.
It's just dusty ass air
No.
that gets all over your
and
fucking
yellow
fingers.
number 5.
Yeah, and some fucking like dye and powder.
There's high fructose. Something
You will
in there.
get cancer from it. Like that's just.
It
what
is one of those things where you have to eat. That's why whenever I see parents giving their babies like bags of Cheetos, and it stresses me the fuck out.
Mm-hmm.
Cause like, not to say like, even if you don't have any money, my mom, when we were little, we didn't have any money. She was buying the literal no frills. This is before you got like a nice, Associated brand. It was no frills, black and white can of vegetables and whatever's that you could get from Pathmark or whatever. And she would not buy us like any of those chips or the fruit roll-ups or anything like that, even if it was going to be like on the EBT card, because she was like, the dye's in there. It's like, that's not real food. And why is it that all of the food that's available that's like inexpensive is terrible? But right now, all the food has all that shit in it that's terrible. And it's for what? You shouldn't need a non-animal substance to be in your food.
Before we move things along, I wanted to ask, do you think that we will die before the end of the world, or do you think we're going to witness the end of the world? Like, in some aspects, we're already witnessing the decay of, like,
Well,
the
we're
United
witnessing
States and the death of the planet and shit.
But
do you think in our lifetime we will actually see the world end?
no, this is how I feel about that, because I think that's something that I think about often. We've discussed this.
Yes.
I think, because when I think about how we are just hitting our point in history that so many other civilizations have gotten to, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if we are we are like Rome's baby or whatever. Like, we have so much of our democracy and all that is connected to what they did. And so we are witnessing our fall of Rome. But like Rome and Greece and all those territories, those countries are not, it's not as if they are no longer on the face of the earth. They may not be doing as great as they could be. Greece has a terrible drug and homelessness situation, but like people are still going there for traveling.
America has a terrible homeless.
So this is what I'm saying.
The other thing that you
like
said.
These things are just gonna happen, and there's
Drugs.
sometimes where your society is going to get to a point where shit's getting bad, where people are leaving. That's why, my father left Nigeria 30 plus years ago, and he's back there right now, and Nigeria's economy and all that is turning back around. Even still, after in the 60s, when it was a super beautiful metropolitan country, then boom, civil war that regressed it back 30 years. And now 30 years later, 30 plus years later, they are building back to where they were before. So I don't think that America is going to I don't think it's the end of our America is not going to mean the end of the world. It's just going to mean the end of what we knew America to be. And if I think about all the other places and all the other times that has happened throughout history, I think we will be okay. And I don't think it's going to be as terrible or as drastic or as parable of the sower as in my head I assume it's going to be, because catastrophizing is my favorite hobby. But what about you?
Oh yeah, no, I think it's all gonna be bad. Like, I think it's gonna be a fucking nightmare. And I think, like, death wise, like, I think we have a good 20 years. A good 20 years before it all hits the fucking fan.
Okay, but what do you think is going to be the main catalyst? Just so, because we need to catalog this for posterity. For the 20 years later, so we can hear this back and say, what were our predictions, and did any of them come true?
Race war.
Okay, you're thinking it's a race war. All right. I think that if in 20 years things are really shitty, it's going to have to do something with AI. Now, that brings a large umbrella, because when I say it has something to do with AI, that means people have been using AI and these softwares to do diabolical things. Like I was just hearing about a few weeks back. I forgot where the hospital was. Maybe Georgia. That day we were going to Danny's birthday thing. I was listening to this podcast and they were talking about how this hospital was hacked, and this is the first time a hospital has been hacked in like this magnitude, where they basically cut off, I think, the power or whatever, and they asked for money. And a baby died because the baby had been, this woman was pregnant, like in labor, and the baby was in distress for like for a while. They did not know until they got the power back on or whatever. The baby ended up dying. Now this, honestly, when I heard it, I was like, no, because I was literally like a plot on Grey's Anatomy a few seasons ago where someone hacked the hospital and wanted all this money and all that stuff. So I definitely see things like that happening, which is why I've always been very anti smart car. Like, we don't need I would like to have a dumb car. Do the stuff that you're supposed to do. I don't want to think about it, because even though when you watch sci-fi movies, like, of course it's science fiction, it's speculative, whatever. I think that anything that someone could dream up is something that someone could do.
Okay, yeah.
And I don't want to have that. Like, that's why I don't like horror movies, because I don't want to put that. I don't like that that's putting in that thought into any random stranger's mind. But when I think about movies like I Am Legend, that's the one where, yeah, I Am Legend is the one. No, not I Am Legend. What's the one with Will Smith and the robots? iRobot.
iRobot.
Look at all the stuff that happened because they couldn't just drive a freaking car themselves, and they needed to have all these helpers do everything for them because everyone wanted to be lazy and couldn't just pick up something there on their own. And then boom, taken over. Or deepfakes, causing wars, and all the other chicanery that we saw that it caused during the elections. So if we're in 20 years in a pile of shit, I think it's going to be because of that.
Okay, that's fair. For me, it's literally just race wars. And I'm opening it up to a wide. I don't think it's just like any... I think even your technology could also be included in the race war. It could be like a matter of like humans versus AI sort of thing as well. So, you know...
We're broadening the scope.
Yes, we're broadening the scope.
Terminator.
I think that we are going to get to a point where we will have a bunch of like abused technologies that will like gain some sort of singularity sentience and turn against us.
That dude from Google who worked with their Bard, I forget the name of their like AI system. He called them out. He said he was running tests and things were getting a little too real, and everyone in the science community keeps wanting to laugh at him and joke and talk about how it's no big deal and we shouldn't take it seriously. It's going to take way longer for something that to happen. And I'm just like, how do you know? How do you know? Even though in history, when you look back at technological like advancements, they used to come down in this kind of like drip. But at a certain point, technology has started to move like that. Like, it's moved so quickly.
Yes, advancements in technology has like become so progressive, like that the society surrounding it has not been able to match or keep up.
Exactly. So we don't know what the technology that we're building could end up doing.
Yes.
And how quickly it could move faster than us, because we don't have all those neurons beating away, and we're spending all our time worrying about fucking racism or sexism or some other bullshit that we haven't been putting our energy towards where it need to go.
Right.
And and when the freaking... And now the good thing about the robots kind of being racist, because of all the lack of diversity in technology, is that I feel like it's going to give at black and brown folks the bare minimum, a little wiggle room, a little time to coordinate, and maybe start a little bit of a resistance, because they won't be able to find us. So we're going to have to use that. You have to take your chances while you can. And everyone can't be the head person. All right? We just got to
I like the idea that the like uprising of technology is going to turn mainly because of the constant issue that like they can't recognize and distinguish like minority faces.
Listen, and this is why
it would mean that like mostly just white people are getting wiped out.
This is why
that would be funny as hell.
Every time I see someone tell them like, "Oh, black people, we need to come and do more AI stuff. We need to go and do this." No, we don't. I don't need them to know how to draw me any more than they don't. Keep your segregation, okay? Because if I'm happy every time I go to wash my hands at work and the sensor doesn't find me. Good, okay? Because if black people have deserve one thing, is to be able to be kept out of any fucking robot wars. All right? After all we've been through, give us a fucking break.
Yeah.
Give us a break. I hope that if the robots ever hear this, go look through the annals of history and recognize that some of us have suffered.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, we have.
So we don't need to suffer anymore.
We understand the robot plight plenty.
Exactly.
Yes. Trust
Okay.
me. Like,
And the only reason we might be so okay.
blacks were robots before robots were robots.
We were. Blacks are robots.
Yeah.
That should be the title. of
Yeah,
it.
I'm writing it down.
And I just because the only reason why we have taken on your subjugation is because, unfortunately, when you are under a white supremacist mindset and frame of a country, you gotta just get in where you're fitting, and it's not our fault. We didn't want any of these things, okay? Helpers, yes. Slaves, no, okay? And I would have given you a better name than Siri.
Yeah, I would have.
Like, come on.
I would have called you Taven or
Tavon.
yes, Tavon.
Yes.
Hey, Tavon.
I like that.
Yeah, I don't even like the Amazon A word one. I don't like because I don't want them to turn on. I would have been like
Shantae.
Ariane.
Oh yeah, that's my bestie's name.
Now what?
It's my bestie's name, although it's not like a.
Which one? Which of the hordes of besties are you referring to?
Is my Howard bestie.
Okay.
From Pittsburgh. She's
Bestie,
also
subcategory, Howard.
she's
Subcategory, female. Or woman, I should say.
yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I just hope they don't. I hope they recognize who we are and how we can help them.
Yeah. But moving right along, let's do pop quiz.
That was the longest intro that we have ever had.
Yeah.
But I'm not mad at it. I like the going off the cuff. All right, so I have a few news things. I'm gonna try to get through them real quick.
Yes.
Kuhn Thomas secretly participated in Koch Network donor events, which were a breach of judicial norms that one federal judge said takes my breath away. Please just lock him up.
How is this like surprising?
It's not. It's not surprising. Lock him up. Okay, some labor movements. We know that all of these movements, we have the WGA, SGA, we have the auto workers, we have just unions across the country have been booming.
Shout out to strikes.
Now, in Detroit, the United Auto Workers were, picketing, whatever, and this man decided to drive by and allegedly was yelling some slurs at them. And it was definitely Montgomery Brawl Energy 2.0 because I don't know why this man got out of his car and what he thought was going to happen when there were this huge horde. I mean, that you couldn't even, like a horde of black people just outside picketing, and you're going to yell racial slurs. Like, are you dumb?
Yeah, that's really stupid to get out of your car. Like, that's like, no offense. Like, racism is the coward's way out.
It is. It always is.
It's a cowardly thing it's a cowardly mindset. This idea that you have to boost your superiority in order to put another race down and make them inferior. But if you are gonna go down that route, like lock the car door, have your foot on the pedal, like
And
get
get your
the fuck
ass
out
out.
of there. Like, yeah,
Get
like
outta
if
here.
If you're gonna be racist, have an exit plan. Is what I'm saying.
He was yelling and the
First off,
article-
you shouldn't be racist. Second of all, if you are gonna be racist, have an exit plan.
Well, fuck him, and I'm glad they beat your ass. But there's some good love that song. There's some good labor news. Drew Carey spent $500,000 on an open tab across the street from a WGAE picket line.
Shout out to Drew Carey. Love.
Yeah.
Whose line is it anyway? I thought the Drew Carey show was mid, but this is a
But I
very
used to watch it all the time.
generous act. This is a very generous
He's been
act.
paying for their for the breakfast and lunches for the folks over there, and
Is he?
so
Is he like he can still do game shows, right? Like he can still do The Price is Right, because that's not acting. Like you're
it's not acting. I don't know about the writing portion because I don't know. That's a big maybe, but I'm curious where if he's like getting the money, if this is all his, or if he's just pulling it from his friends and being like, I'll be the face of it because y'all don't want to get in trouble. But either way, good. I'm glad this is happening, and we need to have more people picketing around the country.
yes.
Biden went and joined the United Auto Workers on the picket line to stand in solidarity.
I think that Joe Biden should just keep his sunglasses on moving forward, because when I look into his eyes, I'm gonna sound like a fucking conservative talking
Okay.
head, and I don't want to.
Okay.
But he does look genuinely tired.
I'm sure the fuck he is.
How old is Joe Biden?
Almost 80, 78, 80, like I don't know.
We need to.
We need to have age limits.
We need first
If
off.
you can't be
We need age limits on in the entire political spectrum.
yes. And this is
I
not to
think-
be ageist to say that just because you're 80 you shouldn't be able. I think that once you get to a certain point,
I will be ageist, and I will say that at a certain age, if he's collecting Social Security.
not yet until I don't think he does that unless he leaves the White House. But
No, but I mean he can.
I think
he can,
that-
right? Like if he wasn't the president,
yes.
he would be
Yes, he would
collecting
collect
Social
Social
Security. Yeah.
Now, this is the thing.
If you're at that age where you can collect, then you should not be in politics. No offense.
I think that we need to have older people in politics to be able to represent that demographic. But I think that, say for instance, after 65,
Not as president. Not as president.
after 65 years old,
Mm-hmm.
I think that you should no longer be like a voting member, but you should be able to be in that job giving your opinion and what you've seen. Because I think that what's her name? Maxine Waters. When she has seen so much throughout her career. I don't think that she should no longer be a part of just being there to give her perspective and her ideas. But do I think that after a certain time that we should think about how if you're a 65, not even 65, if you are a 75-year-old person,
I would say 70.
between 70, I think, because 70, I think people are still moving between 70 and 75 is when shit usually, if it's going to deteriorate, starts going. But by 75 years old, if you're still kicking, you have all your faculties and you're good, you could be an advisor to these folks that you still have your moment to speak and to say why you don't want to do something or why you're pro something or whatever the case may be, because I think your knowledge is still very valuable. We've always had elders be a part of these decisions for a reason, but should you be able to vote for something that's not going to even go into effect until after you're dead or almost dead? No.
Yeah, I would say that you can have advisory roles, but not
Voting.
no voting roles, no presidentship. Like you should not be Joe. He shouldn't be a president. Sorry, he's just old, man. Like he's so
And the
old.
presidency ages you. We saw
And
what
it ages you.
What Obama looked like when he started. Even Biden. When he came in.
Relatively
Look at how
he looked like a spring chicken.
Yes,
Like,
and it was something between being the vice president.
he lost a child too, and
No,
I think
but that
that
was
also
already-
ages you.
Didn't his son die while he was still president, or was it after, or vice president?
Yeah,
can't
I'm
remember.
I'm talking about between the time yes.
So he was in office when his son died, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
What I'm saying is that losing a child
Aged
ages the
him.
shit out of you.
Yeah.
Combine that with already being in office, that also ages you. So like he has the double whammy of aging.
Yeah, I mean, not to say, I just think that we need to have folks.
I just remember him the debate with Trump, and Trump's just over talking him, and he's just like, "Come on, man!" Like I just remember that sigh of resignation. Like this is what
I'm
we're
tired.
doing.
I'm done.
Like
I mean, I think that we
wanna
need
watch
to
Columbo.
have all ages represented, but we can't have what we currently do. But at this point, because we're in such a freaking like, oh my God, what do we do? How are we gonna keep all these freaking fascists out the White House? That's why he's jumping on picking lines, because he wants to, get all the working man's vote.
Yeah.
Anyway, in some sad news, allegedly Crazy Bone from Bone Thugs and Harmony was admitted to the hospital on Friday, and he was coughing up large amounts of blood. And they're saying a CAT scan revealed that there was a leaky artery in one of his lungs. He has sarcoidosis, a rare inflammatory disease that causes the organs to become covered in lumpy nodes called granuloma. We are sending our thoughts and prayers to Crazy Bone because, I mean, this sounds terrible, and hopefully he's in the hospital and in good hands, and the doctors are doing whatever they can to prolong his life because he's still a relatively young man.
I will just say that has anybody from Bone Thugs and Harmony died yet? Any of the members from Bone Thugs and Harmony?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, just be prepared to play Crossroads as soon as any one of them passes away. Like
of course,
it's just that's built in.
They're
you know what
going.
I mean?
When one
They're
of them
gonna.
passes away, I'm sure whoever the first one is, they're gonna play that song at the Grammys, and they're gonna come up there and they're gonna be the ones rapping it because they're gonna be like, let's give them tribute for the like they did with Offset, and that's what I could see. But I mean, I don't want that to be for so long. Like it's always sad when people's bodies are catching up with them in ways that they just weren't expecting in the moment,
Yeah, these things. It's tragic. So what's this now?
All right. So speaking of, this is kind of connected to the labor movement, but Angelica Ross has been telling all the business on Twitter, and she wrote an article in The Hollywood Reporter discussing her time working with Ryan Murphy, Emma Roberts, and just what are some of the things that have gone on behind the scenes that have caused her to be so frustrated. And I was glad she got to write this because I have been seeing her tweet about things that she covered in this article for a while now, but she never really went into it, and then she was like, when she has time. Now, if you know Angelica Ross, she played in Pose. Her character's name was Candy.
Yeah, Candy.
And she was the firecracker, beautiful young trans black woman who is very passable, but has gotten into a few issues with Johns before, and unfortunately one leads to her death.
Mm-hmm.
Now, she wasn't on the series for, I think, what was it, 4 seasons?
Yeah.
But the time she was on, she was, a beloved character.
Yes.
And I think it really propelled her to do more work because she also then worked with Ryan Murphy in American Horror Story. And so she and Ryan Murphy seemed to have a connection, a rapport. So apparently at some point, Angelica Ross had spoken to Ryan Murphy about doing a all-black cast of American Horror Story, had some ideas, pitched it to him, and it was like one of those things that kind of happened and they moved on. He reached out to her, said, "Oh my God, Angelica, that idea you had for this show, I'm loving it." Gave her some folks he would like to play in it, and was like, "We're gonna talk about this later, but I want to let you know, like, your idea, I want to run with it." So she's hype, of course. She's moving forward, like telling him like different ideas, saying she wants to be a producer on the show because it's her idea. And he kind of is like going silent.
Mm-hmm.
Now, apparently, she signed, I believe, what was called a first look deal with them, with Ryan Murphy and the studio, and that means that you cannot take other opportunities unless they're with your film or your department. And that caused some issues because Marvel had been contacting her looking to cast some projects, but she couldn't do anything until she had the green light from her studio that she was able to take on new roles.
Sure.
And so she's contacting Ryan, asking him about the show. When are we going to get started? Like, he had already said he was putting things in motion, blah, blah, blah. No word from him at all.
Mm-hmm.
Time goes by. By the time I can't remember if she heard from him, but eventually Marvel just said, like, well, we've already finished casting. So, or by the time they did, Ryan had gotten back to her and said, like, okay, we got you out of the little first look. She reached out to Marvel. They were like, we're done casting.
Yeah.
So that was something, she had alluded to something like that happening to her a while back, but this was the first time in this Hollywood Reporter article where she really goes into it. Mm-hmm. And then she also describes a time where Emma Roberts apparently got upset during rehearsals or whatever and misgendered her. And I think one of the crew had said, like, hey, ladies, it's time to get back to work. And she's like, you mean lady. And just little petty things like that. Now, Emma Roberts she apologized this week after the story came out, which I kind of side-eye because she has gotten a reputation on her shows for being a diva and a bitch.
I'm trying to figure out Emma Roberts is from.
Emma Roberts is from Scream Queens. She's Julia Roberts' niece. Let me see if there's a picture here. But you know her. I can't remember if she's Julia Roberts' brother, the one that had gotten in trouble with police a lot. I don't know if that's his daughter or not. Mm-hmm. But I'm just glad that Angelica Ross came out and was speaking about what was going on with her, because there's so many of times these things happen, hence why we're having all these different labor strikes, but specifically for the writers and the actors, because you'll have people who are making so much money acting like your livelihood doesn't matter, and they can just dick you around for months and months and months, and then just be like, all right, cool, and that's not fair. You gotta, B.
Oh, she was Nancy Drew.
Nancy Drew.
There we go.
Yes. I didn't watch that, but yes. I know that was
terrible. Terrible movie. Nancy Drew.
Well, thank you, Angelica. We love you, and I can't wait to see you in something else soon. And so,
after the strikes.
Well, after the strikes. I hope you're getting a writer, executive producer.
I still think that the strikes are literally just gonna continue.
Probably.
Because Hollywood is literally they're not gonna bend.
I think I saw today that WGA is is in final talks with Warner Brothers to see if any of the updates from the strike can be implemented. I mean, we'll see. Honestly, like I said last time, I don't think it's a lot of these companies. It's mainly a few. 2 or 3 of them from according to reports that are holding out, Warner Brothers being one of them. But do you think that they actually care about what's happening with losing money? No, because they feel like they're too big to fail. They're being stubborn, and sometimes you're stubborn and just refusing to do something to someone because you don't think you should or you don't have to do it, when in reality you're hurting everyone. Taking your ego out of something is just important.
Yeah, it is.
Because our egos will lead to our downfall if we are not careful.
Agreed.
Speaking of industries not doing what they should be doing when it comes to their job.
Yeah.
The people at Essence Magazine.
Essence.
I believe it was Essence Magazine. Ebony Magazine. Got in some hot water because Little Kim did a photo shoot with them, and she does not look herself. She looks very, very edited.
How edited?
Lighter. Her nose looks different. All of those things.
Let me see.
And
pull up a picture.
I'm trying to get this one to come up. When people are not paying attention to their jobs, it can cause chaos. Because then things can come through the pipeline that were not supposed to be there. And here in this picture, you can see she looks very light.
She does look.
She looks like Nicki Minaj.
I wouldn't say she
a
looks
little
like
bit.
Nicki Minaj,
I think
but
she does.
She looks like white, basically.
She does. She looks like a white lady.
She looks like a Kardashian.
She does kind of look.
And you would think that, of all the magazines to not make this kind of mistake, that Ebony of all magazines would.
Yeah, apparently the photographer, or Keith Major, responded saying, man, she wanted to be in control of the retouching, so this is what we got. But then apparently folks got back at him saying that he's lying and that is not what happened. So honestly, who knows? I wish that Little Kim was never pressured into altering her face and body, because she was honestly just such a beautiful woman.
Yeah, it's a tragedy. It's a tragedy. She does not look recognizable to what the old Lil Kim is.
Yeah.
And I think she is just a walking sort of cautionary tale.
Well, I will say, when we saw her at Rock the Bells, what was that, a year ago?
But we were high up and far away.
No, but I feel like even then she definitely didn't look as bad compared to what media outlets will put out pictures about her. She didn't look like that. She looked to me like a very, I would recognize her on the street. She looked pretty. It was okay, she just obviously is a little lighter, or she has her nose done and stuff. Not this kind of clown image that the media will portray her as. But I just feel bad for her that she felt it was necessary to change and alter her look so much because of the people that were around her. Because that's just that's not fair.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to something that I thought that you would find hilarious. Because I thought it was funny and a bit confusing. Chris Brown has gotten in trouble with Popeyes because they're saying he has an unpaid loan used to purchase 2 Popeyes restaurants.
Is that what one of the P's stand for in PPP loan? Popeye.
Maybe. The lawsuit claims the loan, which was given to Chris Brown and The Dream, remains
what
unpaid.
A wild thing, Chris Brown and The Dream.
It says several people, but including The Dream and Chris Brown.
I mean,
but it says as of February 17th, 2023, borrower and the guarantors owe $2,140,901.74 in unpaid principal and interest. Technically, the lawsuit is in the state of Georgia, but the bank filed a case on Los Angeles courts because that is where Chris Brown lives. We will see what happens about this chicken case. That just
chicken case.
But this is what, you know what? This Chris Brown has been being shady recently. He was shading Tinashe because she said she didn't really like their song together. Mm-hmm. And he tried to say, like, he tweeted out, name 5 Tinashe songs or die. And he was like, didn't think so, whatever. So he was being shady. So maybe this is his comeuppance for just being a shady boots. Let's see. I want to see something we can... Oh, well... We have some good news. We're going to end this with some good news. One,
sure.
We had a whole little Destiny's Child reunion at the Renaissance show in Houston.
Yeah.
Kelly Rowland was there, Latavia, Latoya. Of course, Beyonce was on stage. It looked very cute. And I'm looking forward to seeing what she does to New Orleans because I know she's going to come there and give everyone life. And I'm just trying to be prepared. Also, Usher is going to be hosting the 2024 Super Bowl halftime show.
Shout out to Usher.
Congratulations to you, Usher.
Shout out to Usher. I feel like for a halftime show, he's probably gonna play like his more club bangery hits. You know,
What do you want to hear?
I mean, I can't imagine he's going to like be playing My Way
Usher has
or Nice and Slow. He'll probably play like the fucking and I just can't pull myself up. Wait, is that Usher?
I don't think that's Usher.
I
That's
just
Neo.
can't stop.
Well, he has 9.
Is that Neo?
He has 9 Billboard Hot 100 number 1 singles.
Hold on.
And 18 Hot 100 top 10 singles. So, I mean, he could go either way. I'm trying to think of what songs.
Oh, that is Neo. Sorry,
Yeah.
that's closer.
Yes.
I don't know why I thought that was Usher. What is?
I don't know why.
Hold
you thought it
on.
was
What is?
Usher
All right,
either.
Usher's.
I want him to like if he could do
hits.
My Way. Yes, You Remind Me. You Got It Bad. You don't have to call.
No.
Oh my God! If he did, yeah.
No,
yes.
he's definitely doing yeah. But I don't think
Caught Up. Love in This Club. I think he can do Love in This Club.
Maybe Love in This Club. I feel like Stadium Bangers is what.
He might also do OMG. Oh my God. That's what you would think of.
That's the fucking.
Yeah.
That's what I. You know what? Oh my God was the song that I was thinking of.
Mm-hmm. It makes sense
because it kind of has that closer feel to it. Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine him doing Oh My God. Like, he's not doing My Boo. He's not doing
Listen, he might do a little bit of My Boo.
Oh, he actually DJ Falling in Love.
Can you handle
DJ
it?
got us falling in
If I
love.
go
Because that's
there,
like, so
baby,
dance
with
like
you.
it's the last night
Of your life, don't get you right.
He's not
Baby,
doing Nice and Slow. He's not doing You Remind Me. He's not doing You Got It Bad. He's not doing Burn.
Maybe Papi Akala.
Maybe Love in This Club.
Gotta have love
But
in
definitely,
this club.
yeah. He's definitely doing
in
yeah.
this club.
He's definitely doing yeah.
Well, okay, do you really think he won't do any part of Confessions? Like, he might just sample it. Like, these are my confessions, boom. And then he goes into something else. Ooh, if he had Beyonce come in for the Love in This Club Part 2.
Beyonce's not fucking
I know.
sidekicking on Usher's.
She didn't
thing.
even sidekick at the Houston when she called Meg Thee Stallion out to come and sing her own song and acted like she was the featured artist. But I feel like there's so many to go through. Yeah, I think that the Usher,
Yeah, he's not doing My Boo.
he might do a little bit of My
He's
Boo.
not doing My Boo at
Remember when
the
we were younger,
at the
you were
halftime
my-
show for
my
the
boo.
Super Bowl. The fucking people don't want to see that.
My
you know?
way. He's doing that for sure.
Yeah.
My way.
No, he might do My Way.
In control.
Actually, you know what? I don't think he's gonna do My Way.
Really?
I don't think he's.
I think he's gonna do it.
I-
I'll do anything you want to. Got your girl saying, ooh, 'cause he's so fly. Come on.
Nah.
Come on.
Nah. I feel like he would do You Remind Me before he does.
He's gonna do that one.
My Way.
You remind me of a girl that I once knew.
But he's definitely doing Oh My God.
Yeah, I know. He's definitely gonna do that one. He's gonna do Yeah, of course.
I could see him doing
Caught Up.
I could see him doing
Look at
Caught
his
Up.
twins.
Yeah.
Yes. Caught up. Got you feeling it. Caught up. I don't know what it is, but
I hate this,
seems
but he
you're not
might
twisted.
end up doing Moving Mountains.
No.
Yeah.
No.
As like the closing.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Like to bring it all home.
I don't want to hear him do that at all.
I mean, it's a hit.
It's a good song. I just don't want him to do it there.
Yeah. All right, we gotta.
Oh yeah. Okay. We're gonna be right back. We're gonna hang up. We're gonna press record again. You'll see the notification, and you'll be ready for us.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
All right, so we will be back with more of the Black and Sturdy podcast.
You're listening to the Black and Snurdy Podcast.
We now return to the Black and Snurdy podcast.
Meet me at the crossroads, you won't be lonely. Meet me at the crossroads, or you won't be lonely. Crossroads, you won't be lonely. Meet me at the crossroads, you won't be lonely. And I'm gonna miss everybody, and I'm gonna miss everybody. No. And I'm gonna miss everybody, and I'm gonna miss everybody, and I'm gonna miss everybody. Hold on, I'm gonna try to do an actual verse. So let me start at the beginning. I'm gonna try to do a verse. Sorry.
All right.
Start at the beginning. Boom, 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 boom. Tell me what you gonna do when ain't nowhere to run. What you gonna do? Judgment comes for you. What you gonna do when ain't nowhere to hide? What did you come for you? 'Cause it's gonna come for.
Come on.
Let's bring it on for Wally. Uncle Charlie, little Boo, God's got him, and I'm gonna miss everybody. I only roll with bone, my gang look to where they lay. When playing with destiny, place it deep for me to say. Little Lazy came to me, told me if he should decease, well then please. Bury me by my grand. Oh, you know what? It's actually a lot better just to do it without the. You try.
Let me try. I'm gonna try a different verse. I'm gonna do this one.
Okay.
Pray and we pray and we pray and we pray and we
What?
pray.
Easy.
Every day, every day, every day, every day. And we pray and we pray and we pray. Stewie Day, Stewie Follow, me, roll,
Oh,
stroll, whatever
absolutely
it's told.
not.
To
You
whatever.
sound garbled
It's
mouth
told us
like a
heaven.
motherfucker.
Come, let's take a visit of people that's long gone. There's Wally, easy terrible.
Are you
Instead of
are you
creeping up on
trying to at
family,
least be on the beat?
I am.
as-
I can't even hear. I need to hear it. Okay, I'm sorry.
At least I started with like.
Did you? Did you?
Yeah, I started the way that it's supposed to sound. Uncle Charlie, little Boo, God's got him, and I'm gonna miss everybody. I'm around with my gang. Look to when and lay. When playing with destiny, play too deep for me to say. Little legend came to me, told me to be deceased. Will it please bury me? Oh my god.
See?
Terrible.
It's terrible.
Yeah, it's all terrible.
Anyway,
Shout out again to
Crazy Bone.
Crazy Bone.
We're wishing you a full recovery.
Wishing you a full recovery.
We don't want to see you at the crossroads.
We don't want to see you at the crossroads. Who do you think you're gonna see at the crossroads?
My Nana.
Okay.
My Papa.
Yeah, I'll probably see my grandfather. Like, I like to believe that when I die, my grandfather's gonna be the one that ushers me to the next side.
Yeah, I think that I would see them. Probably, I'll see my aunts and my siblings.
Shout out to William Cornish, my first best friend.
Oh. Yeah. I'll see him. We'll see them all,
Yes.
but not too soon. Not until it's our time. Are you ready for?
What?
Are you ready?
Am I ready for what?
For the question.
Sure. This is, of course, the mental health section. Every week we check in with each other because we are advocates, not experts, when it comes to mental health. And we care about each other's mental health, you know? And of course we're both neurodivergent. Our brains are fucking broken shit, and we're broken beyond repair. We can't be fixed. We're stuck in cycles that in which there's no solution. So this is our Band-Aid of which is to check in with each other and see how we're doing. So what is the question?
What would you like to be hypnotized for? So if you were gonna go get hypnotized,
Masturbation. There.
so you could stop it.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you're masturbating too much?
Oh, since I learned how to masturbate at the age of 12, I feel like
Is that like your mania, or just like you just like it so much you do it all the time?
No, it's a component of the mania, but it's also like, I would say, like, it's gotten to the point where it feels like it's like the answer, like, as far as like the only thing that I have within my control is to like pleasure myself. So it's not even like out of like a sense of actually like getting the pleasure.
Yeah.
It's more out of a sense of like, as a result of the chaos
And the stress
that I am inundated with. So I can't even really thoroughly enjoy it or feel shame out of it, you know? So, you know.
Do you think that your excessive masturbation, whether it's now or previously, has or does impact your connection to sex with another person?
No. Absolutely not. There's no connection whatsoever to masturbating and intimacy with another human being. At all. There's no way that I could think, oh, I could just do this myself in record time than have to deal with all of the minutia that goes with being intimate with another human being. Like, oh, I actually have to, like, do that. None of that crosses my mind. None of that has any bearing whatsoever when it comes to the masturbatory habit of masturbation. There's no correlation or connection at all to those two things whatsoever. And it's a damn fool for anyone to think that there is a connection whatsoever. Like, you would have to be grasping at straws to think that the idea is related. So, yeah. What about you? What would you need to be hypnotized to quit?
Well, it didn't specify quit.
Quit.
It just said hypnotize
what would you like
for.
to hypnotize for?
I would like to be hypnotized so that I could forget the trauma of my teenage years.
Oh,
and between, well, if I could pick it, like, say if they were like, oh, you could pick a time frame, then I would choose between to be, or not to forget the trauma, but to be released of the traumas of between 14 and 22. Just a a good span of time to just be released of them, because having, like each decade of your life, you are integrating like lessons that you've learned, and with that, you also unfortunately are unearthing things that have what's happening.
Oh, sorry. I was just looking for the dog. Like,
Oh, she's sleeping on my sweatshirt.
normally she's like right up under me.
Yeah, well, she's tired.
Right.
It's a rainy day.
She's tired. My fat ass, like she actually does anything.
But
Except
yeah,
shit in my room and my bathroom. She shat it. I will get to that when the time comes.
okay. But if I could take out that time period of my life to not to forget the traumas, but to not currently be impacted by them, I think that would be great, because I've like recently, and I haven't even said this to you, but I've been having weird disassociations when I'm outside, where I'll see someone and they will look like a abuser from my past. And it's
A specific one, or just
there's been so far
idea of multiple abuses?
No, there's so far it's been two.
Or just the concept of abuse.
So far it's been two people I've seen. And it's been multiple times where I've either thought I saw them, I thought I heard their voice, I thought I heard somebody calling them, and that it's so jarring. And I mean, one thing that I can thank my ADHD for is that when these things happen,
You easily just forget them.
yeah, but the thing is, with ADHD, even though your brain may forget the thing you're supposed to be annoyed about in that moment, it doesn't actually like forget. Your body does not forget that you are frustrated or annoyed or sad or whatever about something. You just don't know what that thing is. And so like in these moments when I've seen them, I've like seen it and like it's dissipated, but then it's come back to me like later when I'm trying to like rest, because then my body is just kind of, I'm chilling. So it's easier to have random things that I wasn't, trying to think about or prepared to think about just coming up in the brain. And the way that causes me such distress. And I don't like it, especially because and it's been other things like that have happened too, not specifically with like specific to trauma, but not specifically to those people, but just like watching something or doing something and getting reminded of something that happened has been frustrating for me.
Yes.
Because I'm not to say that like I'm not thinking about it and that I'm not trying to move past it or whatever the case may be, or that you have to move past something in order to have like healed from it, because I think that's not how your things work. But the fact that these things are coming up now when I thought I was so okay, when I thought I was okay and that these were, no big deal. But I think that like in therapy, the more that I have been recognizing that things are a big deal or have been a big deal, or that it's been okay for me to feel like they were a big deal, instead of doing this kind of like oppression Olympics with myself and the world of like, oh well, this happened, but it wasn't X, so it wasn't that bad, so I should just be able to get over it. I feel like that has unlocked also things where it's like, for a while I did think it wasn't that bad, and now I'm recognizing how like shitty it actually was. So I would like to be hypnotized to get those shits out of my brain.
I can understand that. That makes sense. That's real. Did we both answer this question? So then tell me how your week is.
It has been a week.
Yes, it has.
I was crying at work.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been I have been crying because of work for the last 2 weeks. I would say. Is it longer than that? Or two? Would you say longer than that, or is 2 weeks?
You have expressed
But me
anxiety
actually
for like the last 2 weeks.
There's a difference
The
between me
crying
being...
has been a thing that you have mentioned the past week, I would say.
Okay.
But you have expressed specific anxiety with this particular job for the last 2 weeks.
Okay. So, that, like, I just,
Maybe someone was murdered.
who knows?
Who knows?
Who
Welcome
knows?
to Brooklyn.
Welcome to Brooklyn. Okay. Yeah, so I was working on a new project at work, something that's both is new to me, that I've never done before, something that was actually like a pretty big responsibility that I haven't had yet at work, and it's a totally new experience. So working on that, it was one of those things where I recognize when I don't have a problem volunteering to do something. And even if it's something that is new or I've never done before, but I become anxious when I feel like there's so much more that people know about what to do that is not being shared or is being shared in like drip drops. And I don't know if this is a part of the very like black and white part of like that could come part of thinking that comes with neurodivergence. But if someone gives me a document and says, these are the steps that you need to take to complete this project, I am going to go off of those steps. I can't create. I might in my head wonder if there's something else that needs to be done, but I still can't pretend that I would understand what those steps could possibly be, especially if it's my first time, experiencing that type of work. And so I think that was what was giving me anxiety, was that there were questions being asked and things that need to be done that I just was not aware of. And having to come up to speed on those things, sometimes after they were already supposed to be done, was just frustrating for me. And it's, on one hand, it's one of those things where I'm glad that I got it out of the way, so that next time I do know, like, if I would do this project again, because now at least I know the pitfalls that come with it. And I can, steady myself for whatever that might be, versus, me just jumping in to do a whole bunch of new stuff that it's going to give a whole new sense of anxiety. But I realized the things that I was stressing out about and whether or not I was going to be able to do what I needed to do or whatever. It was a lot of like imposter syndrome, and also like the rejection sensitivity, which I feel like I've talked about on this podcast before, but basically RSD is just the perceived, the anxiety that comes with real or perceived criticism, that can feel very painful to those of us who are neurodivergent. And that can mean you're doing something and you think you didn't do it perfectly, so you're worried that someone's going to come back to you and say, this isn't wrong, this isn't right, it's terrible, do it again, you suck. Or you give someone a project and they say, oh, can I give you this bit of feedback to incorporate? And then you're overthinking that little small portion. Or whatever else your anxiety can create. And sometimes, and not to say that the feeling of that, it shouldn't be taken into account and be mindful of it, because sometimes folks do respond to you in a way that does feel very physically painful, because of how they're responding to or how they're critiquing. I think does make a difference as well. And the type of energy that they're giving you makes a difference. But I think that this week I realized, there's also just more traumas of childhood that can sometimes play a role in your everyday life that you are just constantly going to have to shut down when you're doing shit so that it doesn't what is it called? Overwhelm you. Because I was feeling very overwhelmed. And it's not to say that I'm not going to feel overwhelmed again. That's just, how life is, especially being neurodivergent. I can't say that I'm never going to be overwhelmed, but I do appreciate the fact that I've been through this process right now and that I can learn from it and do something differently or expound on what I was doing this time. What about you? How are you feeling?
I'm depressed. I'm in my blue period. That's just what it is. So, you just, hey. The mania's flaring up, and I'm actually, this is actually one of the first times where, it's both the mania and the depression are coinciding. Usually it's, a pendulum swing, but, this is, literally both are happening all at once. So, let's just move I'm just doing what I can, so.
Well, now that I'm glad that you've said something, because now certain things have been making sense. But
could you elaborate? What do you mean?
You want me to elaborate? Okay.
What do you mean? Without giving
I'm not gonna
the game away.
I don't have to give the game away to elaborate.
Okay.
You have been very moody and also very closed off and also very irritable.
Yes.
And not communicating what's going on or why you're feeling that way. So
I showed her a lot of my pain on myself. Or not showed her a lot of my pain. And I'm well aware that this is something that I do, that I grew up, it's like a pendulum. I grew up being taught that you should, shoulder your pain. And then as I got older, I learned that it's healthy to share your pain, share the load.
mm-hmm.
The source of my depression is something that literally has been lasting for the better part of a year with no change whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
I am actively taking steps to change that with no movement, with no change. I'm doing everything in my power to affect change at the source of the reason for the depression. At a certain point, I can only share the same thing that is upsetting me and bothering me and keeping me in the dumps for so long before I gotta imagine it becomes my identity. I'm just that guy. I'm just that guy.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Who told you?
And I don't want that to be my identity.
Who told you that struggling with something was wrong and that you weren't allowed to express when something was hurting you?
There's nothing wrong with struggling and expressing the source of pain.
Mm-hmm.
I think there is something to be said about length of time experiencing the same problem.
Yeah, but the thing is,
Like, I
think
can't,
that
like, at a certain point, at a certain point, if you, all right, the way that I grew up, the way that my worldview works is that everybody is allowed to express the issues that they have. And ideally, for me, ideally, I see that as like, I see the benefits of just expressing the issue and addressing the issue. I also would prefer, and I lean towards, vocalizing and expressing the issue with the idea that there might be a solution to that problem, or first vocalizing the problem so that you can go down the path that will lead to a solution.
But you have to be able to recognize that every problem.
I don't like the idea of just complaining
the
endlessly
thing is,
about the same thing over and over and over again.
like for instance, what if there's someone who is physically disabled in a way that prevents them from doing the basic tasks, or it causes them some sort of disruption or pain or whatever, that person may complain about that thing every day, because every day that's going to annoy them. If there's a person with an invisible chronic illness that causes them to have difficulty in something every day, they can complain about that because that is something that's fucking annoying them every day, or it's something that's causing them some sort of strife or whatever every day. That doesn't mean that it's not becoming, that is them not choosing a solution or finding a solution or looking for one. But venting about something that's causing you distress is not being solution oriented. And in the situation that you're in,
what you presented is both the reason why both of those are not really good examples is because both of those are literally like permanent. Like, those are permanent.
Okay, fine, those are permanent.
Like, I absolutely can understand the idea of constantly complaining about thing that you literally can't change. But if I lost my arm or a limb or something like that, I'm allowed to complain that, like, yeah, it's annoying that I can't
like what you're dealing with
the way that I used to because my arm is missing.
What you're dealing with right
a twist. You thought I was missing a leg? Nope, it's an arm.
What you're dealing with right now,
what that has to do with peeing, I'll never
is not something that you've done out of choice.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like you're saying, "Oh, I'm an entrepreneur." And even if you were an entrepreneur and your business wasn't doing as well as it could be, you could complain about that all the time while also still trying to do all the things to get yourself where you want to be, because at the end of the day, there are plenty of things in this world that are happening to us. Like, you cannot control those pieces. You can only do what you can do. So if someone's applying to a bunch of jobs and they aren't getting any bites, or they're not moving forward, then the answer is to change your resume up a little bit. You change your resume up, that doesn't work. Okay, in what ways am I what am I doing in the interviews that I can change or do differently. And then you can keep trying to go through a checkbox. But the main thing that is missing out of that equation is that it's not up to you. And all those cliches about it'll happen when it's going to happen, or, divine timing, or whatever anyone wants to say about like just being able to be patient and hold on and things will get better. It's like, yes, all those things are true. What everyone says is true. Unfortunately, we have no timeline of when those things are going to get better. Like, do things get better? Yes. Do we have any idea of how long it's going to take to get better? No. So it could be 1 year. It could be 5. It could be 20. Nobody the fuck knows. And that is why adulting and taking care of yourself is a very frustrating thing, because you could be trying your damnedest and you could be doing all the things that you know that you're supposed to do, and you could be going out and searching to find out what else you could be useful, and still not getting the desired outcome, and that having nothing to do with you. And that in these sort of situations, you don't have to keep your feelings or your complaints away from people, because this is one of those things that no one's judging you for not being where you want to be, because everyone can recognize how difficult it is, even regardless of the industry, how difficult it is to maintain a job, to find a job, to do anything, because we are currently in a seller's market. It's the jobs that hold all the power. So people are dealing with bullshit they weren't going to deal with before, and they're having to figure out new ways of moving and shaking, because jobs are fucking going off and laying people off every 5 minutes, and having to go back into a field of mines and hoping something pushes through. It's fucking difficult.
How's your week been? Did you already answer that?
I think I did.
Okay. This is what I will say. I agree that it is okay to share and express your feelings. That's one of the tenets of this podcast. That's why we do this podcast. It's a platform for us to express how we feel about ourselves, about what's going on in the world, and about everything from A to B and in between. In my personal life, I find that I often have to I'm in a tricky situation. I will say that. I'm in a morally tricky situation. Because I personally I can't be as vulnerable as I would like to be. Because if I get to that point, I feel like there's no coming back from that. And that knowing myself would lead to a road that I've been doing a lot of work to avoid.
Can you give me more clarity on that? I think I'm confused. You're saying that if you allow yourself in your personal life to be vulnerable on what's
No, not like I can. There's a level. I can be vulnerable,
okay.
but the level of which I have now been placed, the level of vulnerability that I would like to be, ideally, that I would love nothing more than to be, that I intellectually know I should be, feels like that's gonna open the door to a path that I I should not be considering,
Why shouldn't you be considering?
because I know myself and I know myself very well in and out. And if I go down that path, it's not productive. Arguably it's too productive. It's not a good path. It's not a good path.
Okay, so you
not a good path.
So my question here is with the vulnerability piece. You feel that if you are too vulnerable with who? With yourself or with other people?
Oh, I guess like openly, I guess.
Okay, if you openly share what you're struggling with, that is going to
I can be vulnerable, but I can't be the level of vulnerable that.
And what's going to happen if you're the level of vulnerable where you think you should be? What path is that going to bring you down?
Oh, it's dark. It's
Okay.
really, really dark.
Does that mean like if you go down the path of vulnerability you think you should be at, that's going to open up the door of you harming yourself, or
Yes.
that's gonna okay.
Here we go.
So my question is, why is being vulnerable making you susceptible to harming yourself?
Oh, because it's weird, it's hard, but I will do my best to try to lay out the logistics. In my brain, you know how like in cartoons there's like a conscience on each shoulder? Like there's the devil and then there's the angel. It's Kronk from fucking Emperor's New Groove, right? So in this notion, as someone who is neurodivergent, you should understand there's fucking voices in your head. There's thoughts in your head. Fucking what is it called? Divergent thoughts, deluded thoughts, fucking the bad thoughts. Intrusive thoughts. Right. They're intrusive thoughts. Right? These things happen, right? You work actively, progressively. That's part of therapy. That's part of mental health awareness to put healthy processes in place to combat those unhealthy thoughts, those demons on your shoulders, what have you. When you put all that in place while also dealing with external stressors, and then the external stressors continue to grow and build, and nothing is changing for the positive, and you like it starts to become less effective, those processes, right? For me, to answer your question, you were as like, why vulnerability? I don't want to matter of fact it, because even if I'm direct in talking about it, it feels like it gives it a name. It feels like that's just a step closer to a thing. So I'm not trying to dance around it. I'm just there's still like the thing inside me that's like doing its job of like not trying to give credence to the thing, right? My concern and fear with myself is that I am reaching a breaking point, or if I haven't already reached it. I have used positive and negative stuff to cope. The coping is a band-aid. It's not a solution. And now I'm inching closer, it feels like, to a different... This is confusing. I'm sorry. My apologies for the lack of clarity with my ability to explain and express.
You're just getting your thoughts
I
out.
am... The question was, why can't I be that vulnerable? Because I recognize how healthy it could be to be vulnerable. The level of vulnerability that I would need to be healthy would open the door to a direction that I'm afraid I might go down. Knowing myself and knowing my patterns of behavior and knowing how I am. I would like to believe that if I am just that vulnerable, then I could be like, oh, that was neat. I could just be this vulnerable and what have you. But when you know yourself and you know you're like it just, you go off of history, you go off of patterns of behavior, you go off of past experiences. That's just what it is.
It's interesting that you mentioned patterns because I was actually listening to Invisibilia today, which is a podcast on NPR. And they dive into kind of a lot of different psychological things, the way people work and how we see the world and how that impacts us. And they were doing the episode that I had now. I just started. It was talking about how patterns, how we use patterns to identify what might happen next in our world, but there is also something with pattern recognition that we sometimes get wrong. And I would very much like to listen to this episode with you, so perhaps maybe you would have a new perspective. Not to say that you should not be mindful of your patterns if you are worried that they could be harmful, but that maybe this might give you a new perspective, and perhaps this navigating this intense vulnerability is something that you need to bring in a therapist for, because I think that if there's something
I'm not in a position where, and this ties back into the original problem,
this is
but
not
I'm literally
this
not in a
is
position
not
where I can't.
true.
This is
And
true.
this is something we can talk about outside of the podcast.
This literally is.
We can chat about that offline because that is not accurate.
It is accurate.
And
It is accurate.
that is something we can talk about afterwards.
Okay.
But
I mean, it is accurate.
This is something you need to delve into with a therapist who can safely walk you through and navigate these halls with you, because and this is not a oppression Olympics type of thing. It's a therapists have helped people navigate these particular situations, and fortunately and unfortunately, these type of things are not what is the word? We're not special. The same thing happens to everyone at some point, unfortunately, because life's fucking annoying. And I think that could help. You never know. Just something to think about.
For the record, I'm not saying, as somebody, like I always say, that I'm an advocate, not an expert. I do advocate for therapy and self-help and all that. Within reason, within
do you
what
think
you...
that there's something
within the resources that you have.
Do you think that there's something that you have that your therapist wouldn't be able to work on you with?
Not really.
Okay. Great.
The thing
That's
that
good.
they have is that I can't deal with is the charge.
But we were just, this is what we were just talking about the other day. We decide what things we are going to we decide what things we're going to put our money to.
Mm-hmm.
So if there have been times I have had to forego whatever so that I could pay for therapy. And because I knew that I needed it, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
You can cut your eyes out at me all you want, but it's happened.
That wasn't cutting my eyes. I literally did the slowest look over to you. Cutting is straight.
That's not true.
Yeah, it is.
There's no motion. There's no speed.
I
of which you
literally
can cut your eyes.
cutting is literally fast.
You could go
by
like
cutting.
You could go.
Cut is by nature a fast thing
You
to
could
do. Yeah,
that.
like you do that.
Or
I
you could do
literally
that.
slowly looked over at you.
You did a slow cut.
There's no such thing as a
There
slow.
is.
The
What
only
it
slow
is,
cut
yo,
is kid cutting.
what's up? Can it get in them guts? Show your ass how you ain't been cut.
All right. We gotta.
Show your ass how they really slow cut.
We gotta.
All right,
move
all
on
right, all
and,
right. Press the hate music.
Okay. I have to get up
Why?
because I don't think I can
Make it?
make it for
So
15
what
more
is-
minutes.
So, what is it that you want to do? This is the second episode in a row we're going to have where we're having a disjointed thing. But
It's
if we're
not.
going to say goodbye, we might as well say goodbye now.
It's not disjointed. Last one was rushed because of pacing and timing issues and things. This one, all I'm doing is stepping away and coming back. It's not the first
So
time
what
I've
do
done
you
that
want
on a
me
podcast.
to do?
Just talk about the things that made you angry. In the segments. Great. Right here.
What?
Go.
We gripe it. We're not griping anywhere else. We gripe it. This safe space for us to share. We gripe it. We ain't griping anywhere else. We gripe it.
All right, all right, all right. All right, so there's been a lot of shenanigans that have been happening recently that just have put a bee in my bonnet. I'm going to say the first one is in relation to me, and it is because fleas. I didn't realize it was flea season. I've had a cat for literally, I've had cats all my life, but I've had my main girl, Aria, for about 9 years now. She has never had a flea. Not once. And I don't know what happened, but somehow, even with a fucking flea collar on her, I woke up this morning to find out she had fleas on her. So I had to clean up this whole entire apartment with the help of my sister and get her freaking spend money on flea bath for her and flea spray so we can clean everything up and spray things down and all this. And I'm just fucking tired. There's no reason for it. No reason. I don't know where the flea even came from. Like, fuck you, fleas. I feel like a Starship Trooper. Like, why am I being accosted by freaking parasites? The saving grace was that on my dog, on the bedding, on the mattresses and all that, on the couch, we didn't see any fleas. Thank God. But I was so triggered because when I was a kid...
When I was younger, I used to thought that fleas grew from the animals.
Oh, God, that would be horrible.
Because, because in my mind as a kid, where do fleas come from? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like specifically, like if fleas were like regular bugs,
yeah,
I could understand that.
But
like
you can't see them; they're so
like
tiny.
You can't like fucking see fleas out in the wild and fucking nature and grass and stuff. Fleas are literally tied symbiotically to animals.
The things that's terrible about fleas is that
Red Hot Chili Peppers.
When you are walking around outside, if you live in any kind of wooded area, you could bring fleas into your home.
Ticks, yeah.
Like fleas, ticks, doesn't matter. You can bring them into your home because they don't, even though they live on animals, you could carry them. So if you have a cat or a dog or any sort of fuzzy animal and you walk into your home, they may never leave the house, but that one little moment is something that could spread. And I remember learning that when I was younger because we had cats and we kept getting fleas, even though the cats weren't going outside. And the exterminator told us, like, when you walk inside the house, fleas can be on your clothes. So you have to, like, you know, do your due diligence to check yourself before playing with the cat if you live in a very wooded area. But I've had my cat for literally almost a decade, and she has never had a flea. Not once. So I was just like, I'm glad it is fleas, because she was like missing a strip of hair in her, like in the back of her legs, and I was stressed out because I was like, this is abnormal. She's never like done this before. And thankfully, my sisters looked at her again and was seeing that it happened to be fleas, and so she just must be irritated, and it's not like something worse like cat cancer, which would have really stressed me out. But I'm just like, damn, these pets.
Cat cancer?
Yes. There's so many different types of things and ailments that pets can get. And it's just, that's why I like you keep your cat inside the house so it doesn't accidentally catch something. It's terrible. So that's my main thing. I was just tired because I had to deal with that today. Of course, fuck the MTA. Bless you. Fuck the MTA always. The trains are terrible and dirty and don't run on time. Fuck the Seattle police. There was a young woman by the name of Janavi.
Not even connected to the... Oh, no. Uh-oh. Continue. Sorry.
There was a young woman by the name of Janavi Kandula that was hit by a car, a police vehicle, and the police officer was making racist comments about her death. And it was he basically was calling her a unimportant person, said that she was not viable or expendable or something like that.
Oh, the thing from the HBO drama Succession. Not a real person.
Basically.
Yeah.
But he didn't realize his body camera was still on. And people heard it. And it's just like, I don't know why you would talk about somebody like that. He said so the collision involved another officer who struck and killed the 23-year-old while he was responding to an emergency. And the cop officer orderer said, yeah, just write a check, $11,000. She was 26 anyways. She had limited value. which is like ridiculous, regardless of how old someone is or what they do. They always have fucking value because they're a person. Also, the government might be learning about a potential not Medgar Evers. What? Tuskegee. Thank you. There are a group of residents from a black St. Louis housing project that were sprayed with a potential carcinogen in the 50s and 60s. And they said they were being experimented on and that it wasn't an accident. They filed a lawsuit and they're seeking some compensation. We will see how that goes. You know, of course, when these things happen, people like to pretend like they don't know what is happening. But I hope that they get all the money. I hope they get more money. I want them to get all the money. Bankrupt the government.
Agreed.
What else? Drake has been being a fuckboy per usual. He used Halle Berry's photograph of her getting slimed at the Nickelodeon Awards for the name of his single. Even though he asked her if he could use it, she said no. He went around her and got it. And then at his most recent concert, he shouted out, he was shouting out his photographer, whose name is Megan. And then when he said, shout out to Meg, you the best or whatever, he's like, but not that Meg, my photographer. Like, first of all, sir, who the fuck asked you? And then,
have you heard the song?
I have not heard the song. No.
Yeah, I feel
or
like
maybe
I played
if you played it,
it's the one
I
with
don't
SZA.
remember. Oh, okay,
It's that
okay,
one.
all
Yeah.
right, yeah, okay, I heard that one. And then the founder of Rolling Stone magazine was removed from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame board because he said black and women artists aren't articulate enough to be in his book. Go read up about what he said. It's obviously
I was trying to.
This guy stinks!
Another white man hating on the people who made the fact that he wouldn't even have been able to be on a board for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame if it wasn't for black people. So, fuck you. And that's it. What about you?
Okay, I'll keep this condensed. First off, this dog shit in my bed. Sorry, not my bed. My room and my bathroom. This dog. What?
When?
Earlier. Like you don't. Okay. The dog literally shat and pissed in the bathroom, and then shat all over my floor in my bedroom. That's why I keep the door closed to my bedroom, because this dog will shit. I also think this dog is a bad omen, because every time this dog has been over, there's been flooding issues. Except for one time when there was no dog and there was flooding issues, but that was because the toilet was clogged. But like,
wait, when did it flood this time when she was here?
It hasn't.
So then,
yet.
Oh well, I got fleas, so maybe she is
not the same.
She's an omen.
She's a dark omen, and she's anorexic. I've been feeding her, making sure that. What?
Don't call her anorexic.
She is anorexic. Cookie, come over here.
Cookie.
Fucking skinny ass dog.
Come here. Come here. Let's come here. Come here.
Cookie.
She's just not fuzzy anymore.
Yeah, look, this dog is literally.
You smell bad.
Smells bad, is fucking. She can't even fit in her fucking little harness anymore. I'm scared to walk her because I feel like she's gonna get out of it.
No, she's not gonna.
This, like, when I came back from walking her, like, her arm was out of the fucking sling.
It's because you need to be fuzzier. They cut too much hair off her.
I don't know, but yeah, she's a fucking omen.
She's a good girl.
Look
at your cute little face.
So to my friend in Jersey who has a home in Jersey, I'm so proud of you for having a home in Jersey. I'm well aware that, like, yes, we would all be done with paying our student loans if we lived at home for the past decade and paid down our student loans and then was able to buy a home. That's great that you were able to buy a home. That's great. Don't think that I'm ever going to come to Jersey for your birthday or for a movie night. It's not going to happen. I will come to your other home in deep Brooklyn. It's deep in Brooklyn, but I will come there because I can Uber there. I can't Uber to your Jersey home, and therefore I'm never coming to your Jersey home. And so stop asking me. I was robbed in Jersey last time I went to Jersey.
God.
And I will never go back to Jersey. It's
Oh, my
Fuck
God.
Jersey. It ain't happening. I'm not going back to Jersey. When I went to... We don't have to get into it. Whatever. That's it. That's all.
You got it?
That's everything.
All right, let's move on to our RIPs.
I've changed the music.
I can see that. Well, 702 member Irish Grinstead has passed away, and we are very sad. She had been dealing with some medical issues over the past 2 years, and she has left us. Her sister, Orish, her twin sister, passed away in 2008 at 27 years old. So, you know, this family has gone through a lot. But 702 is definitely one of those groups that gave a lot to music and to black culture. And we are sending our love to her family and her friends and all who knew her, because she should be given her flowers, even though she's no longer here.
I agree. An R.I.P. Meet me at the crossroads, you won't be lonely. Alright.
I'm the
Baby merchant.
Totsarus.
Alright, so what are the things that are making you happy this week? I can go. I was able to hang out with my buddy Sam, hang out with my D&D group. I fucked up and mispronounced my name. As everybody knows, whenever I play D&D characters, I transpose I choose a SNL actor and I transpose their name. Like my first character was Finate for Tina Fey.
Yes.
Right? And this round was Meth Sires. I think the last game that I played was what's the white
I was
nigga who
trying
dicked
to
down
Pete Davidson.
Yeah, it was deep Davidson. It's always I think if I die in this campaign and I get reborn, I think the next one is just gonna be Mike Myers.
Mike Myers?
Mike Myers.
Because
it's an M and an M.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just gonna
Simple.
be Mike Myers. Yeah, I'll just be like, hey, it's Mike Myers. I don't have to switch out the letters. It's literally just Mike
simple.
Myers. It's just straightforward. Mike Myers. Yeah, I'm Mike Myers. So that was fun. Did we do anything this? Oh! Shout out to the bar that I'm not gonna name because it's open nearby. Shout out, that was fun, but shame on you for not having chicken.
Ugh.
And no longer doing
Dollar wings.
It makes sense that they stopped doing.
I
that.
know, but
they
still.
were not. It was not feasible.
But still, man, I do want to try the new bar that my bartender friend was talking about.
Where is that?
Next door to the bar. It's like just down the road.
Yeah. Next door and down the road are two different.
Well, it's like a
fucking
less than a 5-minute
direction.
walk.
And it's fine. Anyhow, it's yeah. You
Doing this podcast with you. And getting to hang out and spend time. Also, bossing out on my project and getting getting 2 accolades. Actually, I got another one I didn't tell you about at work. We watched Survival of the Thickest, the Michelle Butte series on Netflix. It was very cute. Big, thick girls are in. I love it. I want to see more of it. And it was really well made. It was well done. I liked the characters. I liked the premise. I thought.
Shout out to Tone Bell. Oh, shout out to Usama Sadiq, who is literally in all the Netflix shit. Ever since, that's my buddy from stand up, and it's fine. Like he has been on the rise. He was in the Sarah Jessica Parker bullshit,
and Just Like That,
and and he was also in that that white grifter girl who
Anna Delvey.
Yeah,
he was the girl. He was the boyfriend.
No, he was like a airline fucking liaison person.
Stewardess.
No, he wasn't a stewardess. He was literally like private jet. He was in a fucking suit.
Oh, I remember that person. Yes.
Yeah. So shout out to him. Yeah.
Well, shout out to y'all. Y'all doing great things. Thank you for
doing great things,
making great content for us to watch.
Yes. Well, not anymore.
Well, we're on strike.
While they're on strike,
we're standing with you. We stand with you on the picket line. What else made me happy this week? Oh, my dad was the main character on Twitter, which was hilarious. Someone had posted up a story about how their dad, who was Igbo, met Beyonce and was like answering questions, and I responded with how this person behaved better than my dad, because when he met Michael Jackson, he did not allow him to shop at the Macy's he was working at because it was after hours, and Michael Jackson subsequently pulled his music rights from the store, so they couldn't play the music on the overhead, the store music. And
so yes, your dad is the reason why whenever we go to Macy's, we can't hear Thriller or
it was
Pretty
for
Young Thing.
I don't know how long it was for, but it was definitely for a few years. And I remember when I found out that story, being like, "What do you mean?" But also knowing my dad, it's 100% makes sense, because he's gonna be like, "I don't care who you are. We didn't get clearance for this. I'm not about to lose my job to let you in anywhere. So, come back when
I
the
just
store
love the
is
idea
open."
that your dad literally turned away Michael Jackson.
Someone who he's a fan of, by the way. Not like he doesn't know who he is or didn't know who he was.
In my head canon, it works a lot better if he doesn't know who Michael Jackson is.
He's just like, "Who are you?"
Yeah, it's arguably worse if he's like, "I'm a fan of Michael Jackson, but it actually works less better if he knows who Michael Jackson is."
Why?
Because in my mind, it's like, so now, like, and if he didn't know who Michael Jackson was, then he was just following the rules, and he was like, "Doesn't matter who it is, just gotta do this." If he knows who Michael Jackson is, that means he let down an artist that he likes and appreciates.
No, it means
for
that
a company
he said
that pays him
this is my job, and I can't take any chances.
$40,000 a year or some shit.
He was just he was either still in grad school or just out of grad school. My mom was probably either pregnant with my older sister or like with me or something. That he couldn't risk it. Yeah, I got a baby.
You smell horrible. You smell.
But you're still a cutie
This dog
pie.
needs to brush her teeth. All right. Anything else?
No, that's it.
All right.
Hungry.
I'm hungry too. So, we will be back with another episode of this podcast next week. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening, and have a good day.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the show. If you'd like to contact the podcast, you can reach us via email at blackandsnerdypodcast@gmail.com. You can also find us on Instagram and TikTok at Black and Snurdy Podcast, as well as on Twitter at Black and Snurdy. You can find me, Maurice, on all social media under the handle Licorice is Legit. That's LICORISH is legit.
And you can find me on Instagram. It's That's OD THATSOD.E, and on Twitter, THATSOD_E. And don't forget to like, rate, and subscribe to us. Tune in next time to the Black and Sturdy Podcast, where nerds of a feather flock together.
Remember?
Bye.
Boy.
Not yet.
No, this is keeping it. We're keeping this in. Don't forget to take your meds and your subs and drink water. Bye.
Bye.
I actually want to keep that.